Drake realizes that Not Like Us and everything around that song and this battle has forever tarnished his earning ability.
Drake?
All right. Now y'all know everybody is talking about this Drake lawsuit, calling it the weakest move in hip hop. They saying Drake pulled a Kevin Durant. Now, we got this lawyer by the name of Lawyers for Workers. He is explaining how Drake is really looking for information so he can file the RICO. Let's check this out. Make sure y'all like the video and subscribe. Let's get it.
I've been around a lot of rappers and legal drama, and this is the best one I've ever seen when you understand it. So first, this isn't a lawsuit. It's a petition where Drake is asking the court to require Universal Music Group to give him evidence that he needs to bring a RICO lawsuit and a lawsuit alleging illegal business practices. What he says is, I don't know who the other people were involved with Universal, but under the law, Universal has to tell me who they are so I can sue them for the following: civil RICO, deceptive business practices. What these people did is they used illegal bots to make it seem like Not Like Us was a lot more popular than it actually was. They cite to an Academics interview where Academics is on stream talking to some dude, and the dude says, I got paid $5,000 and promised a percent of Not Like Us in exchange for delivering 30 million fake bot streams when Not Like Us first launched so that it would seem more popular than it was and the algorithms would bump it up everywhere. What's really interesting about Drake's claim is that if you watch the Academics interview, Academics questions the veracity, the truth of this guy saying, hey bro, are you sure? Like, somebody promised you points for bot streams? There's producers and engineers and people who feature on songs who don't get a percent of the song. And somebody promised you. Academics questioned this guy's story. Anyway, Drake's lawyers saw it fit for a filing in a New York state court. And they say, look, this is some evidence of the bots. Then they say that Universal typically takes a cut in order for somebody like Spotify to put a Universal song on Spotify. And that in this case, Universal wanted Not Like Us to be more popular. And so they agreed to take a lower cut and they gave it to Spotify on the low, cheaper. They paid radio for plays that, hey, Universal Music Group, in order to make Not Like Us artificially popular, paid people in radio. Apparently, they claim that all of this is illegal and that it caused damage to Drake by reducing his popularity, getting him less streams. They argue that streaming is a zero-sum game. Every time Not Like Us got streamed, it resulted in Drake not getting a stream because you necessarily can't get a stream if everybody's listening to something else on that day. And they have all these other wild allegations in there, including this idea that Universal is firing people who have loyalty to Drake and preferring people who have loyalty to Kendrick. They also claim that Universal told Drake that, hey, none of this is our problem. Your problems are with Mr. Lamar. You should sue. Kendrick Lamar's last name, by the way, is Duckworth. They say your problems are with Mr. Duckworth. You should sue Mr. Duckworth. And if you sue Mr. Duckworth, maybe we'll jump in there with you. Because what do I think is happening here? First off, my mind is spinning because I can't imagine that you're relying on a source that Academics questioned and that. But here's what I think is happening. I think you might have a situation where Drake realizes that Not Like Us and everything around that song and this battle has forever tarnished his earning ability and his ability to make that money. This is what I think. Is so significantly reduced that he's got to do everything he possibly can to get it back, even if that means filing these claims where you're out here. I would never file a claim like this if I were him, unless I guess there was that much money on the line. Because from a PR perspective, my gosh, what do we think, people? Does this play well or does this play poorly for the boy?
All right, and that last part is what the people are saying. You know, I can try to explain the business reasons for this as much as I can, But I've said this on multiple occasions in the last 24 hours. The people have decided Drake is looking weak. And I can't sit here and argue with what Lawyer for Workers said. Yes, it must be a metric that Drake and his team feel like Kendrick Lamar and Not Like Us damaged and might have ruined future earning capabilities. That's something you gonna hear a lot if you pay attention to legal jargon. Future earning abilities. You done fucked up money I could make in the future by doing X, Y, and Z. But another thing that I thought was even more interesting, and I think they talk about it in the video where academics was going through the legal documents themselves, but they even said at one point there was some kind of manipulation where if you told Siri to play a Drake song, she would automatically play Not Like Us. Now that to me was like almost the craziest part. But it's so much of this that's crazy that you forget some of the other shit that's just as wild. But to a certain degree, yeah, it is like Drake admitting, yeah, I lost. And Kendrick did so much damage to me that now I have to sue or bring lawyers into the equation. Hell, I didn't even know Kendrick Lamar's name is not Kendrick Lamar. His last name, Duckworth. That's something that blew my mind yesterday, too. I'm like, I thought his name was Kendrick. I thought he was so real. But look, it ain't like Drake's name is Drake. You know, his name is Aubrey Graham. So Kendrick Lamar is his stage name. But also, yeah, that's another part that people are missing is the whistleblower was first seen on DJ Academic's stream. And I remember when that conversation was going on because people just thought it was somebody academics was trying to get on to, you know, make Kendrick look a certain way. But no, this guy actually does exist. And I'm sure he got some kind of paper trail saying he was paid for these extra 30 million streams. But here's the thing about these websites that depend on the algorithm. I'm sure it's the same thing for Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, any other place where you can post content. The algorithm is always more favorable of that content if the content does well in the beginning. And whatever first half, it feels like the algorithm can decide whether or not the content should be pushed to more people and more people will click on it, listen to it, watch it, etc. So if Not Like Us got an extra 30 million in the beginning, that does help Not Like Us become successful so that it can be pushed to the masses, so it can be seen by more people. But it's very hard to really see, okay, what's about what was natural, because we know when the beef started, there were people always searching for the diss tracks. There were people always searching for Kendrick and Drake and trying to see what they dropped. But here's something that's interesting. Now, look at the first hour for Family Matters with 62,000 views. And then look at the first 30 minutes for Meet the Grams with 1 million views, 900K. You gotta be honest with yourself. Those numbers do not make sense because we know that everybody was checking for both records. We was checking for everything Drake put out. We was checking for everything Kendrick put out. It wasn't just more people wanted to hear what Kendrick had to say versus Drake. That wasn't the case, because even if you a Kendrick fan, you know goddamn well that when Drake dropped, you was going to listen. Even if it was just to hate on it, even if it was just to say it was trash. These numbers right here don't make any type of sense. Drake, with all of the millions of people that subscribe to his YouTube channel, 62,000 in 1 hour. To give y'all a comparison, when I see somebody with 1 million subscribers, let's just say if you had at least 1 million subscribers, usually if you put out some decent content, at least 100,000 to 200,000 will watch that video. If it's a little better than average, then you might get 300 to 500,000. But if you got 1 million subscribers, it's very, very hard for you to not get around 100,000 people to watch a video. And I'm just talking about, like after a week. All right, now this video got like 300,000, but you got 1 million subscribers. Now, Drake got 30 million subscribers on YouTube at Drake Official. 30.4 million subscribers. You telling me with 30.4 subscribers in an hour during the biggest altercation he's ever had in his life. This not the beef with Meek Mill. This not the beef with Pusha T. This the beef with Kendrick. And in the hour, he only had 62,000 views. I'll also tell you that sometimes viewership does come late. And what I mean, it comes late, let me explain that. Like, you could see 62,000 on this screenshot, and that's what the average viewer would see. But if you go look at Drake's metrics, he might have had 1 million views. You know what I mean? But for the metrics to be moving faster on Kendrick's, that means Meet the Grams had to have way more than 1 million in 34 minutes. That means Meet the Grams might have had about 2-3 million views in 34 minutes. Like, let that sink in. So when a video come out in the first hour and you might see it got 2,000, 3,000 views, if you're not a YouTuber, you don't notice. In reality, it probably got about 2-3 more thousand views than that is actually showing at that time. So Drake might have been around like 200-300K, 100,000, it might have been way higher. But for Kendrick to have 900K that it's showing in 34 minutes, that means the metrics behind it probably had like 2 million, 3 million. So it was some iffy shit going on. That still don't mean that these records didn't have the people, or that they weren't impactful, or that, at that point people didn't feel like Kendrick had the lead. I do think around the time Family Matters came out, people was looking at Drake like, all right, it's time for you to show up. But then, remember, Meet the Grams came out after Family Matters. And at this point, I will say Family Matters does have 41 million views on YouTube. But, I mean, you go to Kendrick, what does Meet the Grams have now? Meet the Grams got to be at something stupid. Meet the Grams is at 40 million now. So they evened out about having the same. So oddly enough, Drake Family Matters got 1 million more views than Meet the Grams. But I only think that's because Meet the Grams was a dark song, and I don't think it has a lot of replay value for a lot of people. And Family Matters kind of feels like a typical Drake song other than just a diss record. Like, people still play that record today. It just don't probably have the same impact as Not Like Us. But yeah, man, it's a conversation to be had if you want to have it. But like I told y'all, regardless of anything I'm saying right now, the people have made up their minds. Okay, they feel like this is a very weak thing for Drake to do. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Like the video and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.